Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Nick Delinski Show. This is Scott Kerker, along with Metamora head football coach Nick Delinski. Coach, couldn't do it last week, but we'll cover two games here tonight. We're going to start off with that home opener. Your first game as the Metamora head football coach. You played a familiar foe, Sterling Golden Warriors. John Schlemmer came back to town. Very familiar with that program and their head coach.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a nice series that have been run with them. It's one of those that, it's a great game for all of us because we're very two similar schools, but it's tough when you play buddies and friends. We're not very friendly for about 2 hours, but up to that and afterwards, it's good. But I thought we really came out and played well from the get-go. I thought we set the tone early with what we want to do offensively, and when you start rolling. We got a lot of good players that we can get the ball to, and a lot of good things happened.
Yeah, that game, I thought you guys came out. I think the first series, I think you played ran 5 plays and you scored.
Yeah, we got the post over the top with Kylan off a kind of an RPO look, and Steven had a good look at it and just kind of held it a little longer than normal, and was able to kind of boot out and hit him. And what a great way to welcome you to Metamora. Then in the first 5 plays, get yourself a touchdown.
Yeah.
Get the crowd roaring, and we had a great crowd. And but no, that was a great start for us, and we wanted to get off to a fast start. We got a lot of young kids that were getting their first start, and you can get that score early. A lot of times it'll settle things down, and it sure did.
When you look at your football team, you've got some really young kids. I think at least two of your starting linemen are sophomores. And then you've got some other guys that have had to kind of move around a little bit. So you're almost starting with 4 new offensive linemen.
Yeah, I mean, and Jeff Reyes at left tackle, he's a sophomore. And then the 2 he had at left with Gray and Jay Murphy at left guard, getting their first varsity starts. And, at guard, Jay played for us last year when Owen got hurt at center. Did a really good job there. And then, Logan Grapp at right tackle. And then Elijah Edwards at tight end, who's, played some offensive line last year as a sophomore. Moved him because of size-wise for sure, and whatever all the other pieces. He's a really good athlete as a big kid.
Yeah.
And he makes a big catch later that we'll probably talk about. But him getting in there, and that's 4 new guys with their hand down. So there's a lot of learning that happens in a hurry. And even Riley Blue was at right tackle last year. We moved him to right guard, but he had experience at guard before that. So those guys are all new, but the guys are snapping it to, and the guy they're handing off to are not new. So
that's what helps.
That helps a lot with those guys because you don't have to be perfect all the time, and those guys will make you look really good.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to turn around and hand off to Jadon and Stephen Petrie back there, who's a seasoned veteran too. It's his second year as a starting quarterback. But then you've got some guys outside with McMillan and Bittner and Pickles that can go catch the ball too. So
and we got some weapons. We got to try to continue to make ways to use them. Doesn't mean we're going to just chuck it all over the place. It's not always about. We talk about trying to figure out targets for the most part for those guys, and we've got kind of idea numbers of where we want each guy to be at, and we hit them pretty well week 1. But Keon Allen came in early there in the first quarter before he got a little bit of an ankle injury. Gets himself a touchdown too. So there's a lot of guys that we can get the ball to that could be impactful for sure. And we hope that stresses defensively. What you're going to do, and especially when we get Kylan and Jason out there together, and Braden Bittner's just as a route runner is a technician, and we got some good dropouts that we call them or comebacks back to him. And but no, those are really important parts, and that's what makes your offense diverse. And it doesn't mean that we're going to throw it 25 times a game, but if you're making them threats 12 to 15 or 15 to 17 times a game, and that's either through the screen game, through the run game, maybe it's a reverse or handoff or it's a bubble screen, all those things are really important to make our offense move.
And because of Jadon's, the threat of him getting outside and being able to go on any given play, you also have a power game with Jaden Lambert.
Yeah, I mean, and Jaden had a pretty good night. For him coming back after not playing much his junior year, he had a knee injury and played the first 2 weeks basically, and that was about it. And another big back that we can get the ball to. And we got into our I formation and put Jaden in there, and to run old school belly and with a wing, and it looks it's old, and we just put him in at I instead of Lion with the guy in the slot, and Jaden in the slot, but. It gives another dimension for sure, where you can get a quick hitter up there, and it's a 4 or 5 yard gain, and we all know that Belly is a play that might be 3 and 4 for a while, and then The next thing you know, it's a big play because
five
you
and
get
six or
tired.
more, yeah.
You get tired of tackling 225-pound guys, and that's what Jaden is. And so we're really excited about where he fits in. And then Caleb Morrison's been in that same spot too,
Yeah.
and so we can get him some reps too. But Caleb's been really good, and he's really important for us defensively. So he loses a few reps at the fullback spot. So.
But then the other thing I noticed too is not only did you have Jaden Lambert line up the fullback, and you handed him the ball, he was also a lead blocker, but then you threw him a pass too and got a 2-point conversion.
I mean, we got to have a little bit of everything, right?
Yeah.
Out of the I formation, the one thing that being under center can get is it creates some really good play action. The quarterback does turn his back to the defense. You lose the ball a little bit. And then Jaden did a really good job of slipping out off the lead action. And, when you get out there in the flat, he's a big kid. I mean, even if it wasn't a 2-point, that was one of those where he would have rumbled for a while if, if we're throwing that in the middle of the field. So it's called goal line, but, we can use it just about anywhere. But he's a real good athlete, and he always has been, and he's got probably more ability than he realizes at times. And it's our job to make sure we keep reminding him.
We talk a lot about the offense, and the offense I thought came out and played really well. First game with so many new guys in new positions. Like you said, you've got some experience with Jadon and Petrie, but I thought it was very, very, very important for you to get off to that quick start and got some momentum and got some confidence in your whole team. And and then your defense I thought came in and played outstanding.
Yeah, I mean, it really helps. When you get points up on the board, everybody's excited, right? And especially when it was Kylan, and Kylan's been a big part of since he's been in with us of being into that, and the kids have bought in. I mean, he's fit right in with us. So him getting that touchdown early really gets the whole team going. And then defensively, I thought we played really, really well. I thought our kids executed so much. That Chatham week 0 we talked about. Making mistakes there, we eliminated those for week 1.
Yes.
And it's better to make them when they don't count than when they actually do count. So I thought we did a really good job up front of containing and trying to figure out what Sterling was trying to do, because the hard part is you don't really know week 1, so you got to make sure you're pretty sound with what base things that we knew. But I thought we tackled pretty well, and I thought we did a good job of applying pressure to them. And that doesn't mean you get a sack all the time, but if you're forcing bubbles or the bounce on the run that we can go clean up and that sort of stuff. But, Caleb did a really good job defensively. He had some checks that he had to make that he got us into, and then I really think our 2 defensive ends have a chance to be, real big disruptors with Sam Barbarinus and Jackson Backus. And we rotate in at nose with AJ and Yeager and Jay Murphy in there. Bigger bodies, 240, 260 pounds, those guys, and they're strong so they command double teams, and that kind of allows other guys to make plays. And you know how many times AJ is going to make a play, but he's probably making more plays than you realize. Kind of the same with Barbarinus and Backus in terms of they might not have made the play, but they led to the tackle or the negative play or a different sack.
The other guy that I thought came in kind of has come out of nowhere, because whenever we're good, we've always got a couple guys that, boy, where'd that kid come from? Was Sol Swanson.
Yeah, Sol is matured. Still maturing as a junior, but he's always been physical. He always has a bit of an edge to him. Always has, baseball-wise and football-wise. So I think he wants that role. He kind of had he was battling with another senior. The senior got an injury, and Saul's kind of ran away with, this is my job now, and he'll be physical, that's for sure. It's just, you got to make sure he's physical in the right spots.
Yep. And I think it's the neighborhood he lives in.
Yeah, I think so too.
But, he had 2 big sacks for you. And I thought you guys were able to put a lot of pressure on Sterling in big times. When you needed a big play, your kids came through and put on some
Coach Herring and Coach Keese, Coach Elbert and Coach Toff and all those guys defensively, put together a good plan. And then the one thing being in that odd front that we've kind of gone to is that you can create some pressures that are kind of exotic, and not overly exotic, but pretty gap sound, but getting 2 guys off the edge or bringing a guy off the edge. For example, we talked about Jackson Backus, the first one. His job is to take the tackle with him on an inside stunt. He did that, takes out him, takes out the guard, and that leaves Saul to come off the edge, as a clean runner.
Untouched.
So those are the things, and then you got to make a tackle when you get there.
And they did.
And that's what we did. And, 3rd and longs can be fun, because then you can dial some things up, and, we got some guys that can play man coverage, and Jadon and Jason, and, Bittner at corner, and Caleb McAllister at safety, and then Kylan's kind of been a guy that we've been able to float into different spots. He can play some corner, he can play some strong safety, he can play some free safety. So it allows us to give us some flexibility there. But Coach Coach Herring starts dialing up blitzes, they kind of enjoy that.
That's always fun.
Yeah.
It's always fun because you dial up a blitz in high school, generally something big's going to happen.
You hope so. As long as you don't run into the guy standing in front of you and you try to make some moves and make a guy move. So we use what Coach Elbert refers to as the athlete card. Like, be an athlete. Don't just go run into the dude. Find a way to beat him inside or outside.
And I thought your athletes made plays on both sides of the ball in that first game, both halves.
Yeah, and we, wasn't a great start to the second half. We give up a score. They made some adjustments, and their adjustments put them in a little bit better spot than we were, and we made them, went back and fixed it. But they run some outside stretch, and where they had it set up, and we just kind of short of about a half a man. But sometimes with fast guys, a half a man becomes a touchdown. We've seen that with Jadon a lot. Yeah. But then we responded offensively, and then you keep that comfortable lead, and then defense made a couple more big plays as we went along.
Come away with a 43-14 win. That had to be. That'll always be a little special for you because that was your first win as a varsity coach.
I mean, it's nice, and and I've said it before, but like it's just another one for Metamora, and I understand that I know my role and my part of this, but that's what we're supposed to do, right? Our job as the head coach in Metamora is when we get a team on our field is we're supposed to go win, and that's our goal. But yeah, I mean, it was nice. I mean, it was, and Coach Herring with the game ball made a nice little talk, and I really appreciated that. And it has been a long road, and to say that I'm not appreciative would be wrong, because I was. But I mean, it was special, and
whole family was there.
Everybody was there, and a lot of uncles and and aunts that come, and they have a lot of those guys. Some are on the chain gang, and mom and dad have been up in the crowd since 1992, and so we've had. I got a lot of family that's really involved in Metamora football, and I'm just proud of them, and they're pretty proud of me, and I just feel blessed to be in this spot. But no, I mean, it's a special one, and the football will go downstairs in the office, and the handshake with Johnny Schlem, in the newspaper, all those things will go down, and maybe my grandkids will find them cool someday.
Then you got on a bus and you drove up to, I think, one of the top 2 or 3 neatest stadiums in the
it's
state.
Neat. Now it's buried down in there, and you got the crowd our crowd is like in our back pocket. It's right there, and then but no, it is cool. And Coach Castle, having a lot of history there too, and he was at the game, which was great to see. And but yeah, I mean, it's one of the cooler stadiums, and it's got a neat atmosphere, and their crowd is pretty rowdy. And
Sal Prue brought a lot of people.
They brought a lot. I mean, got a good group. Their quarterback's really, really good, and he's worth the price of admission, that's for sure.
Marion Persich, he's a name to remember.
He's a big dude. He's a big guy, so lot to handle.
Only a sophomore.
Yep. So
I thought, though, you came out and had another just outstanding first drive. You kind of set the tone. You went down and you scored. I think your first 5 plays were all pass plays.
It could have been. I don't know. I know 3 of them were RPOs in terms of, we had the bubble option, and then the other one we ran a little stick route. So, yeah, I know we threw it, Jason got 2 quick picks or 2 quick catches, and then got boogered up a little bit, but he's going to be fine, which kind of changed a little bit of what we wanted to do because Jason was kind of it's kind of his week with Kylan. Like, Kylan we had kind of dialed up for week 1. Jason, we had some things put in for him. So that kind of changed the kind of our game plan after that. But we go down, we get the big touchdown to start the game, and gets a 2-point to get up 8-0, and you set it up, and then defensively we come out and get a 3 and out, and we get the ball back, and we end up with we moved the ball pretty well. We end up with a holding penalty that put us in a bad spot, and we just couldn't quite. We had a double post look for Kylan on the 3rd down, and we just couldn't quite connect. And then we had to punt, which is a terrible thing to do. We don't enjoy those very often. But Jaden got the punt off, and then we got another 3 and out defensively. So
I thought defensively, with that big threat, because he's a threat. Their quarterback Persich is a threat, but you were able to contain him for the most part.
Well, we spent a lot of time, coaches meeting wise, discussing he's the threat, right? He's the guy, and their running back is a good kid, but he's not the game breaker. And what they were doing offensively, and I said, the 2 biggest things we were worried about were broken plays. And then Persich running, what if his run game was. So when we talked about our blitz packages and everything we had to make sure we had a spy, that we knew that we were trying to force him into this gap so we'd have a guy there, right? So all of our blitz were designed to know, hey, we're leaving the right A gap open or the left B gap open. We're going to force him away because he doesn't like to roll to his left as much and throw as he does to his right. So if we're going to bring extra pressure, we're going to push him to his weak side. which then allowed everybody to understand for the most part. And I thought we did a really, really good job of it, of understanding when a pass was going, where's his breakdown. The last drive, he scrambles all over the place. But at that point, we're up 3 scores, and we're getting a little tired, and, we got some heavy legs, and we'll probably try to find a sub package that has a few fresh legs there for the end of the game when you get in those spots. But no, the key was you got to cup them and maintain them and make sure that, he doesn't break big plays when you've covered everything else.
When the game was in doubt, I thought you did a very, very good job of that. It was 32-14 at that time.
Yeah, the last one. Yeah, but they put together a good drive to tie it up. And
at 8-8.
Yeah, so they tied it at 8-8 early. Persich broke a nice run down the line. We got out of our contain, and those are the things we talked about on film. Like, we talk about alternating colors of jerseys and making sure they're in your gap, and we had 3 guys in the same gap, and then he was going to go. So they get that one in, and then, we did respond right before the end of the half. One of those drives that, like, we got the ball with, 8.5 minutes or whatever it was. And the one thing we talked to our kids about, as the clock started to tick down, we talked about them, like, did you guys ever feel rushed? And they're like, no. I said, that's why we have so much time. Relax. It's going to be all right. I had the timeouts that we needed. We took the timeout there with 9.7 seconds, and unfortunately, Steven's helmet came off on the play before, but on the other hand, Christian Nelson came in, made a great throw to Kylan,
Yep.
And then that put us 16-8, and felt pretty good from there and going into the halftime. And if we can get a stop, let's go put a few more scores on the board, which we did.
I thought that drive right before halftime, to me, was a backbreaker, because I believe you had about a 6 or 7 minute drive.
It might have been 8. I don't remember. I have to
it
go
was
back
a
and look.
long drive. And I thought they got the kickoff with 9 seconds to go in the half.
If you could see the clock. The lights were out.
The lights
at the time,
did go
but
out.
yeah.
The lights did go out, you're right. But I just thought you couldn't have asked for a better drive to end a half. And then you took whatever momentum they thought they might have had, you took that away from them.
Because they scored to tie it up, and then we get the ball back, and we go down and put together an 8.5 minute drive. Those are huge. And like week 1, we had 2 drives that were 12 plus or 15 plus. And those are mature drives. Signs of the ability to stay together. Usually high school, if you get them to run 10 plays, there's usually something negative is going to happen within there.
Especially with high school kids.
Right, without a doubt. In college, and I'm listening to Coach Bielema after the game, and their whole goal against Duke last weekend was we want to make them run plays to score. So that means we might give some underneath stuff up, but as the field gets shorter, there's more pressure. And I thought offensively we just kept never making that next mistake. If we did make a mistake, we overcame it. And those are maturity type things. And to get that early in the year feels really good.
I thought in that game, your offensive line in the first quarter, the offensive line in the fourth quarter, I thought had made their own adjustments. I'm sure you guys did some of that stuff.
It's all about. They're pretty physical up front. They played a little bit different front. We talked about it Friday night. They came out more of a 40. Sal Peru. They came out more of a 40 front than their odd front. So there were some things we had to adjust on the fly. But our lead game that we ran ended up being our best play, and we can run it out of multiple formations. We can do it out of the eye. We can do it out of our gun. But once you find something, and if they don't want to take it away, you're
just keep going until they do.
And
Yes.
And that's just kind of the way the game is played. It's like for years with Coach Ryan, like we ran belly or midline probably 80% of the game. We had a lot more we practiced, but like when they give you the look, you just keep running to it, and that's what they gave us. And I thought our kids really did a good job of understanding when we made the slight adjustments. They were able to execute when we got out there on the field.
And I don't know if this was the theory or the thought that you had, but it was late in the game, and we're running the football, and they made a couple stops, and it was, I don't know, 3rd and about 6, and you threw a little slant to Kylan McMillan.
Yeah, we knew we had to come out with something, and it was one of those spots where it doesn't matter if we throw it here or not. It's clock and all that sort of stuff, but the way that they had played everything, we knew the screen game would eventually be there. We talked about it going into the week about multiple screens, and we had to call timeout before because we had the wrong personnel out there, and that was on me and not the kids. And then I wanted to make sure that Kylan was comfortable because he's bounced around, and just remind him. And then Riley Blue makes a great, we call it the peel back on the screen. You get 2 guys out in front, and the next guy's got to look backside. And he makes a big block on the backside, and that's what brings him down to the half-yard line. And then Jadon, cleans it up after that.
Yeah.
Gets his second touchdown. He almost would have been 3 if he stuttered himself down to the half-yard line. So we let Steven steal that one from him because he was all cramping up on the sideline. But, you got to throw it when you have to, and it's one of those spots where you're in the game where they're going, well, are they going to throw here? We're just going to keep bringing pressure, and Kylan hits, and sometimes you squirt those through. And we almost had the one Jadon earlier in the drive. He just couldn't quite. We missed half a guy, and he just couldn't quite regain himself. But we took it from a 12-yard loss, or it was 12-yard. I think it was 2nd and 12 to 3rd and 6. And we go 3rd and 6. We got 2 downs to get there. We're going to feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, I thought, and on that pass to Kylan, it almost looked like you were saying, we can do this anytime we want.
Well,
and that may not be how it is, but that's the kind of the feel.
Well, I mean, there's things we got to do, and sometimes as a play caller, when you find one that's going well, you don't want to leave it, right? You want to stay with it. But sometimes we got to get outside of my comfort level because I'm the one calling plays. But Coach Otto, he's whispering stuff and he's like, making a suggestion. And but we had talked about it before. Hey, we get in a 3rd down. Probably screen's a great play here because it's a catch. Most likely it's not going to be incomplete. Clock's still going to run, and then we can make a 4th down call if we need to if we don't get it.
So yeah, I thought that was an outstanding game. You came away with a big 32-20 win. You came out of that pretty much unscathed.
Yeah, I mean it's high school football, right? And we played back-to-back 2 pretty physical games. Sterling's pretty physical, and LaSalle Peru. The one thing they are is that they're going to get after you, and they got some big kids in there. So, it's week 2, and you get ready for week 3. So you heal up and you go play.
We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll say tell you the players of the game for both LaSalle Peru and for Sterling, the first game, and we'll talk about your kind of a big upcoming game you got.
First game of the Mid-Illini. It's kind of a big one.
We'll take a break. Welcome back to the Nick Delinski Show. Before we go any further, I want to thank The Grill for allowing us to come down here and film this show every Wednesday night. So thanks to Jake and Sarah. Coach, first game of the year, player of the game was Kylan
McMillan. I mean, Kylan had a big come-out party, right? He had the post touchdown that Steven threw to him, and then he had the little screen that he took 6-7 yards in. And on that play, Jason Pickles actually ends up getting 2 blocks on it.
Yeah.
And, so we give out the best blocker, the Wood Award, is what we call it. And Kylan got the player of the game for his touchdowns and all the yards, but he also got a Wood Award. Him and Jason, they split it on the one that Steven took into there, and he made a huge block on the corner to just seal him and Steven to get around. And then, of course, you don't get 2 blocks on a screen very often out there, and Jason did. So, yeah, Kylan well earned it, well deserved. He's worked really hard since coming into the program, and couldn't have been more excited for him.
Yeah, and he had to be awfully excited to get that award on his first game on Malone Field.
He's probably more excited than I was, He felt like, it's a big day. And, those kids, when you're 16, 17, 18 years old, and you come and play at Metamora, and maybe you're moving, or even if you're back, and you look up in the crowd, it's pretty special.
Yeah, it is. Your second game up at LaSalle Peru, Jadon Cranford.
Jadon Cranford had a great night. 23 carries, 136, 140 yards, 2 touchdowns. And one of those tough days, because they weren't pretty all the time. They weren't 7 and 10 and 14s, but he busted 2 long ones that were field position changers, not the touchdown, but 25, 30 yards, but lots of tough 2 and 3s that used to be 2 and 3s, and this year he made them 3s and 4s. And that
a lot of wiggle.
A lot of wiggle. A lot of wiggle. What is a phone booth? That's what you said?
You had to make some moves
in the phone booth. Nobody knows what that is.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
As long as he keeps doing that.
He's able to make some guys move, and he's able to make them move and find windows, and the more he does that, sometimes there's that next chance of going to the house.
Yeah. And he's been exciting. It's hard to believe this is his senior year already.
We've had him a long time. He had him for 4 and Steven for 3. So as a play caller and as a coach, it's kind of nice having those guys around. So.
Yeah, it is. It certainly is. Coach, you got a big game this week. Mid-Illini play starts this coming Friday, and it doesn't get any bigger than Metamora, Washington.
No, I mean it's a great rivalry. We got to hold our end of the rivalry though. Pretty much Washington's had our number for the majority of the last 10 years or whatever. We can probably go back even farther, but we've been close a couple times.
Yeah.
We got them in the COVID year at our place, and
21.
And it was played really, really well in that game, and what a great crew that was. And unfortunately, we don't get to play in the playoffs with that group, but it's been a while. I think we got some guys that are hungry for it, and Washington's still Washington though.
They're the bully in the conference,
I mean,
and they've earned it.
Right? I mean, they are until you can knock them off consistently. You know, Pekin's got them kind of once, you know, here and there, but nobody's been able to put together a streak on them. And you know, you got to start it, but you know, it's not easy, and they're so well coached and what they're doing offensively and defensively now. And it's not like a big secret what they do defensively. They just do it better than what everybody else does. So we got to find ways to make sure that you know, we can get some one-on-one battles offensively and defensively. And if we get that one-on-one, you know, you got to find a way to win it. Yeah. And you know, and if that's Jadon breaking a tackle, because we know if he can get in the open field, break a tackle, there's a good chance that he could go anywhere from 10 to 90 on the field. You know, so he's a game breaker for sure. And we're gonna have to find ways in the passing game to get Kylan and Jason in some one-on-ones that we can get them matched up to make a play and bring those young offensive guys along. There are a lot of seniors. I think they start 9 seniors on defense or 8 seniors on defense, depending on injuries and whatnot and who's available. But it's a lot of experience, and they didn't play a ton last year. But they're still seniors. You know, they're still seniors.
And that's in that program.
That's a big deal. You know how it is. And
oh, yeah.
When you win a lot, and those seniors that don't play, but they get to finally play, like, it means a ton to them, too. So we have to go about our business for sure. And, you know, and what they're doing offensively with the sophomore quarterback is pretty good. He's pretty talented. Garcia, yep. And then 44, the tailback, who plays middle linebacker. He runs hard. Yeah. And he's a little faster than you think. You know, we watched him on film, and you know, he just outruns some guys when you think that they probably got an angle on him. So I don't know what his numbers are, but he's got enough football speed that could cause a lot of problems. So yeah, I mean, it's a whole nother world of getting into the middle Illini, and we know what we're getting ourselves into, and 2 physical games followed by another physical game, and we just got to come out on top.
They come in at 1-1, but that 1-1's a little deceiving.
Well,
they went up to Niles Notre Dame,
and you know, and it's kind of like last year. They came in at 0-2, and everybody's like, they're down. I'm like, they're not down. They just played 2 teams that are probably going to be in the quarters or better, and
they were.
It was a true story. So, like, you know, plus they were new, and Coach Barth was just kind of coming in. He came in the summer offensively, and they're trying to find their pieces. Well, they didn't find their pieces against, you know, Podunks. I mean, they were playing quarterfinal teams. So, and some of those guys were coming back, like, had people coming back. So obviously they're going to be well seasoned this year, and they'll be ready to go. But you know, it's our job to make sure that we get our kids in the right positions, and you know, and fight for 4 quarters and see where it is in the end.
When you look across the Mid-Atlantic Conference, Mid-Atlantic Conference might be as strong as it's maybe been in a long.
Well, I mean, East Peoria is going to be 2-0, and they got a chance. You know, and Canton goes down to Taylorville and has a lead, and you know, and
they had a lead against Kerker.
You know, so both of those games, you know, Pekin's huge, and Morton, you know, they get a big win over Muhammad Seymour. You know, so like there's games that we're winning in the conference that are big games. Like these are names that are teams that are, you know, quarterfinal, semifinalist teams in the last couple of years, and so every week's a battle. And you know, we started off with Washington, but you know, and then we get Morton week 2. So like,
Morton went up north to Chicago Heights Marian Catholic.
Yeah, and got a W up there, and you know, it's just what it is. Like you know, and there is no, it's a grind, and you know, Limestone puts up 25 points last week, and you know, we don't play them towards the end of the year. So Coach Bielema will kind of figure out where they are, and who knows what we're playing week 6 and week 7 of a new head coach than what he was week 1 and week 2. So
and then you finish up with Dunlap, who's not a slouch either.
No, and then, you know, they come on and get 2 big wins over, you know, Rock Island and Galesburg, and but you know, they got Pekin this week, and so the conference starts to shuffle itself out. We'll beat each other up. That's kind of what we've been known to do, and hopefully we all come out healthy by week 9, and we get a lot of teams in the playoffs, and we go win a lot of football games in the second round.
Big weekend, big Friday night in Metamora. You got the 75 team coming back, and rededication of Malone Field.
Yeah, I mean, those are all special things, you know, and we're a special community where those things are celebrated and means a lot. And I know you've done a lot of work, and Kelly Willard's done a lot of work on getting the 75 team back. But, you know, you telling me the stories of when you're contacting guys about how it still means something to him now, or, you know, he still talks about it, you know, to his grandkids, or, you know, whatever it might be, that it means enough to come back for this. And, you know, they put us on the map, you know, and what they did, and what it meant for the community, and then what springboarded us to where we're at now. It's our job to stay on the map, which isn't as easy as you think it is all the time. But no, I mean, it's going to be awesome to have those guys back, and you know, honorary captains and on the field, and be present, and let them get back together. I don't know how often, they see each other, and there's all over the place. And Coach Helmick and Coach Vogelsang being able to be a part of it, and I'm sure there's going to be a whole lot of fun stories told, and a lot of laughters and a lot of hugs, and maybe some tears in there. But all those things are awesome. And then Saturday night, you guys, putting it up on the video board, the championship game and the East St. Louis game, I believe.
East St. Louis and Geneva,
the championship game. So,
and an interview with Helmick and Vogelsang.
Okay, I mean, so all those things are great, and then I don't know if everybody knows what Malone Field is. Why it was named Malone Field and the dedication, and be able to have that kind of thing redone, and as a reminder to the community what that means too.
Sure. One little quick story about some of those guys.
All right.
Phil Schertz, who was a really good receiver for Metamora, had a touchdown pass in the championship game. I think he was a 6'6" wide receiver defensive back.
Gotta love those guys.
We
need a few more of those guys.
We haven't had
Kendrick Chaffron, he was 6'5".
Yeah.
We threw him. He had a big game against Sterling week 1.
But I don't know if we've ever had a defensive back at 6'6".
I mean, Kendrick was kind of a defensive back. He
But
played a little corner at times.
He's coming back Friday. He has not been to a Metamora home game since the last playoff home game, his senior year.
Since his senior year. Well,
it's changed
a little bit. It's a little different.
A little bit different.
Turf's a little different. Grandstands are a little different. Press box is a little different, but the
field is altogether different.
I mean, because it's on the other field, wasn't it?
It was always, it was on the old field, which is now a parking lot.
Right. So, I mean, like, those are things that are, those are special to come back and see, guys that care to come back and see that kind of stuff. So, we're pretty excited to be able to host them, and our kids will understand the importance of it, that's for sure.
Coach, thank you very much. And 2-0, and good luck Friday. Bring home a W.
And we'll do our best.
That'll do it for the Nick Delinski Show. We'll see you Friday at Malone Field.